Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Graban from KaiNexus, and today we're going to be doing a quick preview of our upcoming webinar. It's going to be held March 23rd at 1 o'clock Eastern. It's titled, How to Design Organizational Habits That Propagate a Culture of Continuous Improvement. So to register for that, or if you're watching or listening to this after March 23rd, if you want to view the recording, you can go to kainexus.com/webinars, or I'll put a link in the show notes specifically for this webinar. So the presenters, again, this is basically Habits Webinar Part 2, or the second in a series on this topic of habits. It's going to be presented like last time by Dr. Greg Jacobson, our co-founder and CEO at KaiNexus. And it's also co-presented again by Morgan Wright, our customer marketing manager. We're joined by Morgan today for that preview. So how are you, Morgan? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. It was a great webinar, and this is such a rich topic, drawing on the 3 books that you cited and so much application and so much to dig into. So, maybe first, if you would, Morgan, give, a little bit of a recap of what you and Greg covered in the first webinar.
Yeah. So like you said, Mark, we've really been digging into these 3 books that we shared last time: Atomic Habits, The Power of Habits, and Tiny Habits. So there's just so much information, to download and process and kind of apply to, us as CI professionals. So we've been having a lot of fun doing it. So, as you mentioned, last time we were very kind of high level. We dove into the science behind habit formation, which was so cool, and cool to hear from Greg, who of course is a, ER doctor. So he had his kind of doctor spin on it. We introduced, the concept of the habit loop, and then talk through kind of how we can create habit loops for each kind of persona, is what we call them, each kind of different person with different goals and roles and all things like that inside our CI organization. So what we wanted to do was really just lay down the foundation for habits as a concept.
Yeah. And I'll put a link, by the way, to that first webinar in the show notes. I don't think, the second one builds upon the first, but, encourage people to go and watch or listen. But I think the second webinar will have a lot to offer. Well, I don't know, would you agree, Morgan? If they haven't seen the first one, you guys will give a little bit of a recap.
Yes, I was going to make that same point. We'll give a little bit of a recap in our upcoming webinar, but highly encourage you to watch the first webinar so you'll have a better understanding of what we're going to be diving into next week.
Yeah. And that second webinar. I guess the next question for you, Morgan, is to share a little bit of a preview of what people can expect this time.
Absolutely. So like you mentioned, the title of our next webinar is going to be How to Design Organizational Habits That Propagate a Culture of Continuous Improvement. Mm-hmm. So we're really going to take upon that foundation that we established during our last webinar. And we're really going to be starting to discuss what are the steps that you can, follow to create good habits with actionable takeaways at each step. So we're really going to dive into each step versus in our last webinar, again, very high level. We wanted to introduce the concept. So in addition to that, I know I'm really excited in kind of regards to the habit loop. We're really going to be sharing some real life examples of different cues and rewards, kind of KaiNexus specific, that people can really take away. And I think even just after this webinar, start to apply to their organization and, get their minds spinning there. So of course, we're going to be sharing some good stories and examples along the way, similar to last time.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm looking forward to it, Morgan. And maybe as a final topic or question, it would be good to hear your thoughts on, why is this important? Why is a habit loop and trying to build that organizational habit so important? Why has this topic been something you and Greg are so excited to dig into and share?
Absolutely. So, I think while we're looking at it, it's okay, we're building these habit loops. Cool. This sounds great, but why? Right. And so I feel like the big why is going to be taking these habit loops. We're really going to be able to, if you are a KaiNexus customer, design the KaiNexus experience to be much more efficient and relevant to each of these kinds of people. If you're not a KaiNexus customer, I think you can take this information and kind of apply it to your own organization as well. Mm-hmm. But with these habit loops established, the improvement work will become so concrete and so a part of your organization that I think you'll really just start to see those impacts of having that improvement work so ingrained in your culture in so many different ways, whether it's patient safety, whether it's employee engagement, lower, turnover rate, financial impact, whatever that may be. I think having these established, habit loops will kind of lead to that.
Yeah. Maybe we can think sometime, Morgan, of how do we help strengthen that habit loop about attending our webinars or listening to this podcast.
That's a great one. We'll brainstorm about that.
But I think the reward part of it is clear. There's a lot of really good, actionable insights that you're sharing in these webinars. So that's a big part of that loop. So hopefully, listening to or watching this is a bit of a cue. Is that?
Yeah, I like that. A little bit of a cue, kind of remind you and get you excited about the routine of tuning into your webinars every month.
Yeah, great. So thank you, Morgan, for giving us the preview. Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching this preview here for the webinar. Again, March 23rd, How to Design Organizational Habits That Propagate a Culture of Continuous Improvement. Go to kainexus.com/webinars or look for registration link in the show notes. Thanks again.
Thank you.